Oliver Reader, and today I'm going to be painting Rounding the Bend. Now I'll go through what I've got first to paint with. I've got my 4 brushes, two large flat and a medium flat brush, a small to medium round brush and a fine point round brush. I've got my tub of water, I've got my paints, and the paints I'm using for this are a yellow, a light blue, a medium blue, black and white. Pretty basic colours. You can add more colours in if you wish. And I've also got a rag, a wet rag. I use that a lot. I usually hold it in my hand to wipe my brushes off to keep the contamination from spreading through paints. And I've got my piece of paper with the stencil already traced onto the paper. Now I use a watercolour pencil to just quickly trace over the stencil. That way the watercolour will rub into the paint and disappear more than a lead pencil. Now if you want to get our stencils so you can also paint this, go to www.readart.com.au and you can paint this with us, and there's plenty of other paintings there that you may also want to paint. Alright, so I'm going to make a start. What I'm going to start with is the background, the sky first. Now the sky being the furthest part back, it's always better to start at the furthest part back. Excuse me. It's always good to start at the furthest part back because whenever you're painting over whatever you're painting over the top of it will cover the background, and it just makes it look pop forward further into the foreground for you. I'm going to start with the light colours first, which is the sun, or the moon should I say, sun. So I'm going to just get this paint working. I'm getting that bit of paper wet. Now normally I paint on canvas, but lately I've been painting on paper, and they've both got their benefits and disadvantages. So I'm going to continue out where that white's going to be, just to wet the surface so I can add the blue and blend it into the white. Then I get a pinch. Now whenever you're adding a darker colour to a lighter colour, like for example here blue and white, you start with the light colour and you just add a pinch of the dark colour. You never go the opposite way, because you can always add more. And as you can see, just that little pinch of blue paint goes quite far. Now the disadvantage of painting on paper is it absorbs the paint a lot quicker. It's not as easy to spread on a canvas which is already primed. But you do get a smoother surface on a bit of paper. So there we go, I've blended around the white. I've made sure I haven't let my brush touch the white in the center, because as soon as I do, this brush has got blue paint on it now, and I will contaminate that white. I don't want to do that. I want to leave it white. So now I'm going to work my way out with just that more blue paint. And notice I'm painting over my ship. I can always redraw that in. Now, to spread it, I'm going to just dip my brush in some water. And I'm not pushing right in yet because I don't want to go too far and have to add more white to get it back, to come back out again. So what I'm going to do is just wipe my brush off, which I did, and put some water on the brush and let the water do the work for me. There we go, just let the water. Now don't push, you should never have to push hard on your brush. Just hold it really lightly. You can hold it within 2 fingers and it'll still do the same job. You don't want to, you're not putting paint on to scrape it straight back off again. There we go. Now we're going to work our way to the outer sky, the night sky. I could even put some stars into this if I wished. I'm just going around that lighthouse, making sure I've actually covered up to the edge of the lighthouse, because I don't want to have to come back later and paint background on top of the edge of the lighthouse. I'm not going to keep going yet, because as soon as I start working over there, this side's going to be dry. I'm getting all the brush strokes out first, and I want to blend it in. I'm going to get some of that lighter blue on my brush just for this, just to blend that across. Get that paint out, then just use water. Get the paint out, wipe the paint off, wipe the water off so it's only damp. Don't want too much water on the canvas, it'll be pointless, you'll see straight through the paint. Start to get a bit darker on the outside. I'm still with the sky, following that circle all the way out. Yes. You see that bit there's a bit watery and it's scraping off bits of the paper. Doing a bit of damage to the paper there, but as long as I don't push too hard with my brush, it'll be fine. Now, get that blue off. Just use the water and blend with the tip, just with the edge, tip of my brush. Not bringing it too far in. I don't want to take it too far into the white. Yeah, that's great. Now it's going to get a bit darker on this side. So I'm going to do the blue, and I'm going to then just put a pinch of black into it. A pinch of black. I've done all this with a large flat brush. Right, back to a watery brush and just blending that black into the blue. There we go. So there's the sky. I don't know what's happened here. I've got a line coming through it somehow. No, I'm going to leave that because it's just taken paint off. I'll put a bit more blue back on it. Whenever you're painting, you know when you're trying to fix something and the paint starts peeling off instead of going on, don't touch it, let it dry out. Right, so that's the furthest thing back in my picture, the sky. Now I could put some, I'll just do an attempt. I'm going to get a small brush. I'm going to use just the back of the brush, just some white paint. Just put a dot and then scrape it to look like a little flickering star. I'm not going to overdo these. I'm just going to put a couple of little dots in. So it's just a real small dot of paint and I'm just flickering it out in 5 or 6 points. There we go. I'll put one over here just to balance it out a bit. They're all on this side. I've got to have at least one on this side. I'm not sure if that's going to be covered with a cloud yet, so I might put one up the top as well. Alright, a couple of little stars. So now the next thing coming forward are the clouds. I'm going to start with the medium flat brush for this, and to fill I might go back to the larger brush. Now the leading edge of my clouds are going to be white, and I've got to cover but dark paint, so I'm going to have to put this white on quite thick. Now, random puffs they are. So all I'm doing now is just getting that edge in there. Just picking a random shape for my clouds. Now, clouds are always a fun thing to master. My recommendation is when you're painting clouds, just have a look at Google clouds, and you'll get lots of great shapes that you can see that you can add into your artwork. And you'll probably see here in some spots I've got flat areas. That's because I'm using a flat brush. You can use a larger round brush if you want. I know I can touch it up a bit later when I go along and touch up the highlighting of these clouds. So I've worked out where they're running. That's going to run across there. It's going to go behind the ship. Then we're sort of going to go up a little bit, so it sort of follows that shape, the shape of the moon light. Oh. So now I'm going to be working my way backwards using that lighter blue. just trying to put using that lighter blue and blending white. I want to keep that top edge. That moon is hitting that top edge of the clouds, and it's showing it off as the white clouds that they actually are. But this side of the clouds, there's a lot of shading in it, shadows. That's why we're going to the light blue, and we're going to work our way down to black. Just get some puffs of white there. Now, when you're blending, the more you blend, the more you're going to end up just getting a flat colour. So if I kept going with this, I'm just going to end up getting a flat blue. So you've got to have that balance of going from white through the blue colours all the way to the darker colours. So don't over blend. You just got to find that happy medium where you think, oh, that'll do. And it's always the first time for painting clouds. If this is your first time painting clouds, try it on a bit of paper first. Try a few samples of images that look of clouds. Come up with a system that works for you. The good thing is with clouds is there's no set pattern that they have to follow. Generally, excuse me. Generally, clouds are white on the top, then as the water is thicker in the clouds at the bottom, where it's ready to fall, where the water is real thick, condensed, they become grey and flat and heavy. So it's puffy at the top, then they become flat at the bottom. But we're not going to see the flat at the bottom of these clouds. I'll have some wonderful texture in these clouds where I haven't blended a lot. So, and here you can see my technique. I do a lot. I'll paint, brush, rag, paint, brush it on, wipe it on my rag. If I got paint there that I don't want there anymore, wash it off, wipe it on my rag. And it's just a process of keep cleaning that brush out and not just spreading whatever paint in there everywhere. Right, now I'm going to work down, getting darker as I go. I'm going to go to a bigger brush now. That's it. You can see that darkness coming in gently now. The strokes I'm using, I'm leaving a lot of angry strokes in because they are an ominous scene of the clouds coming over behind the boat. So I want to keep that little bit of anger in those clouds. Now we get them black in there. This is where we want those clouds to get angry. All the way down to where they disappear. Dark and evil look, feel. Whatever's going on way in that background you can't see. Right. You see here where I'm using the water, but all I'm basically doing is just adding more black because the water I'm using has got too dirty. Time to change. I'm just going to get some paper towel. getting some pools of water happening on the paper. A little bit too much water. Okay, that's the base of my clouds. So next is the lighthouse, but do I want to work on that? Yeah, why not? Let's do the lighthouse now. It's next, and then we'll cover it with the rocks. So I'm going with medium flat brush. And I forgot to get out my red paint, obviously. Yep, one second. So I've got some carmine, or carmine. I'm not going to use the red first. Red's a very difficult colour to use. It gets into everything, and it comes through everything. It's just a difficult paint. So we'll do the white first. Yeah, the pigment's in red. I've never looked at why, but they just don't make life easy for you. So I'm putting a base coat in at the moment, covering up all the bits of cloud that I put on before, and I'm going to do the base coat of the light in the lighthouse, which is not covering very well, so I'll have to do some thicker, maybe a second coat, and I'll put some white on that as well, just to try and cover the blue bits that are there. nice and thick. There we go, there's a cover. Now, I know this side's going to be black, a black shade, because the moon's here and it's heading this way, so this side's going to be black. So I'm going to put a black line in, which is just going to give me a handy, how would you put it, a handy guide of where that edge is for the lighthouse, the back edge. There we go. So I know where the back edge is, and I'm going to do the same with the other edge of white. And this way I know where I can paint up to with red paint. So I'm going to follow that line all the way down. Yeah, so there's my base, and now I'll start putting that red in. Now once again, I'm not doing the finer bits yet, I'm just blocking out the areas of the colours I need to have as a base. And then I'll come back and do the detailing. Giving vertical strokes in your paintbrush, and your paint strokes on the lighthouse. There's one section, we'll do the top. And do a little dome thing on the top of that. Don't know why, just looks good. Now the bottom section. I'm going to paint that door in because I can repaint it. Got a bigger brush. That's it. Now just flattening it, smoothing it out and giving it the vertical strokes. Alright, so there's my base for the lighthouse. Now, I don't want to use any red in this section or this section. So I'm not going to paint with any more red paint if I can help it. If I do, I know I'm only going to paint in these spots. The shading that I'm going to do is going to be, or the highlighting and shading is going to be with blacks and whites and yellows. If I started doing that now, I would be spreading the red paint. So I'm going to leave the lighthouse as it is at the moment. And now I'm going to work on, we might go to the boat. We'll work on the sails. So I'm going to give them a white, well, it could be white, but I've got a bit of light blue in the paint. So I'm going to give them a light blue base colour. Now, you can redraw your sails on if you want, if you need to. I'm gonna actually have a go at guessing the shape of the sails. I'll put another one there. Once again, I'm just blocking in the shape. I'm not worried about any detail at this point. And then the bottom sail. Now, how much detail you go in with your sailing boat, sailing ship is up to you. I'm trying to keep mine quite simple to match the rest of the picture. This isn't a masterpiece in the sense of having fine detailing. We're painting for fun. Okay, there's my 3 sails. Now before I put the detailing in on those sails, I'm going to put the mast, and I don't know, I have no idea what the other parts are called. I'm going to put the timbers in on the sails. I'm thinking, do I use a blue or a black? We might go dark, very dark blue. Practice this if you're not confident before you start drawing it on your canvas. The mast gets thicker as it goes down. And I'm also going to put a representation of the, I don't know, the sail bearers. I've no idea what they're called. I'm making this up. And we want to, oh, what's it called? Crow's nest, that's it. Got a little crow's nest at top. Now I'm not going to touch those sails yet, they're still wet. So I'll block in the ship's hull. With the blue-black. There we go. I might have to go a bit higher with that. Or we bring that sail down. We'll bring the sail down lower. It's just a bit too high, I think. Okay, let's try for some detailing now. Just all I'm trying to put in here is some representations of the timbers on the front of the ship, the figurehead, I'll use some bits of white for some bit of highlighting in some of it. Oh, go back to those clouds. Oh, no, the sails. We're going to start. First I want to bring that sail down a bit lower. that wet second coat on. And then we're going to put some shading in to show the curvature of the sails. Just a pinch of black. And I'm going to blend, using that tip nice and soft, blended it back into the white. And where it folds under. Some light blue. And just blend it. The light blue will be reflecting up off the water. Oh, there's one cloud. Why do I keep calling the sails clouds? And the same shadowing will be happening on all three clouds. The bottom edge a bit darker. On the right side shade. Now, I recommend whenever you're painting something like, for example, a pirate ship or whatever ship, sailing ship, go to Google, just Google a whole heap of images, save some if you need them, but you can't paint something if you don't really know what it looks like. You've got to actually, get the small brush, you've got to actually, how would I put this? You've got to study something instead of guessing what it looks like. Like we all think we know what a face looks like, but unless you actually study what a face is made up of and how it consists, you can't truly draw a face unless you study a face. Same with this boat. You can't study a boat or a ship. You can't draw a boat or a ship or paint a boat or a ship unless you actually know what you're supposed to be doing instead of guessing. I guess what I'm saying is, don't guess. Do research and practice. Understand what it looks like. Well, I have done in the past a little bit of research on sailing ships. I should have done some more here. It's not the greatest sailing ship, but you know it's a sailing ship. That's all that matters. And I also know I'm never going to perfect the sailing ship in this artwork. I'm not supposed to be. I'm not supposed to be trying to. It's not what it's about. I'm going to hold off on that now. Actually, what I might as well keep going. I'm going to just put some thin ropes in. You can overkill this. If you put the entire system of ropes in, it's just going to be a totally mess. All I'm going to do is put some thin, watery lines, real thin, only a couple, just to give the impression that there are ropes. You barely see them. The ones I'm doing so far are, I've already made them too dark, some of them. That'll do. It'll do. That's all right. So now we're going to come back to the lighthouse, and I'm going to use that small round brush, and I'm going to run a leading edge over the left-hand side of the lighthouse and slowly make it disappear, leaving some vertical strokes in it, just to give that understanding that this is a round object. And I could also put, because there's going to be the yellowy light, some yellowy or yellowy white streaks. And they get further and further apart as you get further down towards the front of the lighthouse. And on the back side, the rear side, the shaded side, the ebb side, do the same with the black. Once again, black will take over everything. Be very careful how much black you put in a picture. Just going to use my wet rag just to blend that a little bit. Okay, there's my lighthouse. Now the same at the top, I'm going to give it a brighter edge on one side where the moon's hitting it. Oh, got to clean my brush. Dark on the other side. Just putting a little bit of detailing in there, some lines of seams of where the joins are, and the metals. I'll put a window in here. And the door down here. Now we want to see, it's red, so it's going to be white and red. Let's get that. It's going to be a lighter red edge in there. That's the thrill of painting, those mistakes. Look at that. I'm going to give a hint that there's a bit of a light inside that window. Yeah. Okay. Just a pinch of detailing on this door. Now we got the walkway that goes around the lighthouse up here. Actually, first we might do the spray of light that comes off the lighthouse. It's a yellowy white, a gleam. You don't want to overdo this because you don't want it to be solid. You want it to be translucent so you can see through the rays. And all I'm doing is just giving the acknowledgement that this light is on. The ship can see it. I'll just put some stronger yellow in there. Now, we're going to do the rolling, and I'm just going to use black for that. Follow that top edge all the way across. Pick a spot above it. Run the same line all the way across, just with a tip, with a minimum amount of pressure, and don't stop all till you get all the way across. Just picking spots for the railings. There we go. I want the top of that, the dome, to have a bit more brightness in it. It just seems to be a bit dull. Here we go. Now, that's the lighthouse done. Let's do our rocks. Rocks are jagged, sharp, angry, how else could I describe these rocks? You don't want your ship to break up on them. So you want these rocks to show that anger, that they're dangerous. And I'm just doing a practice run here at the moment. Just using a flat brush and finding what works for me. And I've got black, white and blue. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, now remembering I want the top edge, so let's work on that top edge first to be a lot lighter. You could even add a pinch of brown into this colouring. I could with the yellow maybe. Let's have a look. Let's put the, yeah, I wouldn't do that. I'd probably go the brown, if anything. But there's no other brown in the picture, so why go brown? So now I'm just getting those top edges of the rocks in, like I did with the top edges of the clouds. They're in front of that lighthouse. Alright, so there's that front edge of the rocks. Going to work down with the blue and black. Not overly blending, doing a crosshatch sort of feel, randomness of rocks. You know, I'm all facing the right direction, same direction. I'm just trying to get an acceptable amount of flow from light to dark. Now I'm just putting in some white tips on the tops of some of the rocks. Oh, just getting a little bit of detail on some of the tops. Just breaking up so they don't look like paint strokes and they look more like random rocks. Oh, there's my rocks. Oh, we've got the water now. I could probably even go over flow of light. I'll do that just so you see what I mean. A whitey yellow. Just going to give it a bit more. Just this bit more spray of light coming off. Oh, that'll do for those. Yeah, we just got the water to go. So I'm going to do a base coat, medium flat brush of blue, darker blue. This water's playing over the boat. There's a horizon there. That horizon goes past those rocks. I can tidy those rocks up. I'm just filling in all that white at the moment, getting rid of all the white spots with a blue base. And I'm going to go with the smaller round brush, not the real small one. And I'm going to put I'm going to do the shadowing first of the boat, the shadow on the water. It's going to zigzag down just a little bit of a way. And there's going to be some darker shadowing off the edges of the rocks. And I'm building it up as I go here. We're going to get some white and light blue reflections in the water from the moon. They zigzag across slightly. You can use the back of your brush to scratch into those thicker bits of paint. And we'll get some of that white down into here, where she's breaking up against the rocks. I'm just going to tidy up some of that edges of the rocks just to make it pop out a bit. So I'm putting some black shading in. Then I'll probably do some white tips that are hitting those bits. Now I'll put some light white and light blue. So there's the point of the rocks. And let's just get some white and light blue. Whoops. There we go. I'm gonna rounding the corner, I call that. Every time I've painted that picture, it always comes out different. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you come and paint with us. Remember, www.readart.com, where you can get your stencil or this one or any other paintings that we do. Hope you enjoyed. See you later.
If you found this video entertaining, helpful or inspiring, we'd love for you to consider subscribing to our channel and hitting that notification bell. Subscribing will ensure that you never miss out on any of our future content that we create especially for you.